China tightens its grip on rare earth exports. Automakers warn of shutdowns across the globe. The U.S. accuses Beijing of trade violations. Could this spark the next supply chain collapse? Welcome to Preppers News. News and current events from a prepper's perspective. This video uses a computer-generated voice because of an injury that makes my own voice hard to understand. But everything you're about to hear comes straight from me. Today, we're looking at growing tensions between China and the U.S. over rare earth minerals and what the shortage could mean for you. Back in April, China announced restrictions on exports of rare earth minerals to the U.S. At the time, it looked like a warning shot. Now it's become a blockade. China processes over 90% of the world's rare earth elements, materials that are essential for everything from electric motors and batteries to advanced electronics and military gear. Since May, Beijing has been requiring export licenses for these minerals, and approvals have slowed to a crawl. In many cases, they aren't coming at all, especially for companies linked to the U.S. As a result, global industries are feeling the pressure. Automakers are warning they may have to halt production because they can't get the magnets needed for electric motors. Defense contractors are bracing for delays. What started as a diplomatic dispute is quickly turning into a supply crisis. The situation is escalating beyond mere supply issues. In May, the U.S. and China agreed to a 90-day trade truce, aiming to ease tensions. However, the U.S. now accuses China of violating this agreement by delaying export licenses for rare earth materials. President Trump has publicly criticized China for not upholding its end of the deal, while China counters that U.S. tech restrictions are undermining the truce. Automakers are sounding the alarm. Major manufacturers, including General Motors and other global automakers, warn that production could halt within weeks due to shortages of rare earth magnets essential for various vehicle components. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation has expressed concerns to the U.S. government, highlighting the potential for significant disruptions in the automotive supply chain. This isn't just about cars. The ripple effects extend to defense contractors and electronics manufacturers, all of whom rely on these critical materials. The geopolitical chess game over rare earths is intensifying, with both nations leveraging their positions, leaving industries worldwide caught in the crossfire. Rare earth minerals might sound like something only governments or tech giants need, but they're baked into a lot of gear that preppers rely on. For example, they're used in rechargeable batteries, solar panels, communication devices, hard drives, night vision optics, and even the brushless motors in tools and generators. If you got a radio, a power bank, a drone, or a solar setup, you're probably depending on rare earth elements without realizing it. When those supply chains tighten, prices go up fast, and availability drops. Right now, we're seeing warning signs that some of this gear might be harder to get in the months ahead, not just for hobbyists, but for people who depend on it to stay off-grid, mobile, or connected in a crisis. This isn't just about the latest gadget. It's about how resilient your setup really is when key components become scarce. This isn't the time to panic buy, but it is the time to think ahead. If you've been putting off buying backup gear, radios, battery packs, solar power equipment, tools with electric motors, it might be smart to act sooner rather than later. Prices could rise, and some items might go out of stock if the shortage gets worse. Check the gear you already have. If it runs on batteries or relies on imported electronics, make sure you have spare parts or at least a backup system in place. If you're heavily invested in solar, make sure your charge controllers and inverters are protected and supported by your stockpile. And don't forget low-tech solutions. A crank-powered radio or hand tools may not be flashy, but they keep working no matter what happens to global trade. Prepping isn't just about storing stuff. It's about thinking ahead and adapting before you're forced to. This rare earth situation is one more example of how global politics can hit close to home and fast. If this continues, it won't just be about electric cars or military tech. It'll affect supply chains, prices, and the gear we count on to stay prepared. Let us know in the comments what equipment or tools you're prioritizing while they're still available. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and visit our website for more prepping updates and gear ideas. Thanks for watching Preppers News. Stay safe, stay prepared.